Sri Brhad Bhagavatamrita, Part 2, Chapter 4, starting with text 77. We left everybody hanging as Gopakumar saw Lord Narayan, and he just abandoned the instructions that he had been given and entered into a spontaneous mood of calling out, "Gopal, Lord Gopal." Some discerning attendants who were standing at the Lord's side held me back, and I was brokenhearted. I was heartbroken. I cried out in helpless distress again and again, overcome by my own excessive love, and fell unconscious in front of the Lord. With some effort, those attendants lifted me up, and after some time, I regained consciousness. I wiped away with my hands the flood of tears that blocked my sight, and with difficulty, I finally opened my eyes. Then I heard the Lord, that best of merciful persons, tell me in a deep, gentle voice, "Please come back to your senses. Dear boy, come here quickly." From the moment Gopakumar fell unconscious, Lord Narayana had been calling to him, but Gopakumar was unable to hear him. Was able to hear him only after regaining consciousness. The Lord also told him, quote, "Please give up this reverence for me. Let's talk together as friends." Vaikuntha. Text 80. I then felt the highest limit of joy. I danced all around as if seized by madness and stumbled about. But with great endeavor, the Lord's servants calmed me down, and at last I awakened from that trance. Commentary. Hearing those words from Lord Narayan drove Gopakumar apparently insane. In truth, however, this, quote, insanity, unquote, was the perfection of clear consciousness. Remember, he achieved prema bhakti before going here. And that's why he was sent to Brajabhumi again. The perfection of clear consciousness in which one who suffers feels the ultimate extreme of happiness. 81. The Supreme Lord said, "Welcome, welcome, my dear boy. I am fortunate, most fortunate to meet you here. For so long, I've been eager to see you." Very sweet section. Commentary. Hoping to calm Gopakumar, the most compassionate Lord greeted him as a welcome guest. The Lord stated honestly that he had been waiting a long time for Gopakumar to come to Vaikuntha. 82. My dear friend, you have passed many lifetimes without paying any attention to me at all. 83. For so long, hope had me dancing like a fool, thinking, perhaps in this lifetime, or this, or this, or this, he'll finally turn his face toward me. Commentary. Even though Gopakumar had forgotten his Lord for many lifetimes, the Lord had never forgotten him. The Lord wanted Gopakumar to know this, and also to know how eager the Lord had always been to regain the association of his devotee. 84. But I could find no pretext on which to bring you to my abode, dear brother. and still follow the timeless laws I myself have created. Commentary. Since the Supreme Lord is all powerful, why didn't he simply find a way to bring Gopakumar to him sooner? The Lord establishes the laws of the universe, which are enunciated in the Vedas and other scriptures, and he chooses to adhere to his own restrictions. As long as living entities want to control and enjoy in their own world, he does not interfere. Only when they show, by calling out his names, that they want to return to him, does he again reveal himself. In previous lives, Gopakumar had never chanted the names of Lord Narayana, even unintentionally or in jest. Had he at least vibrated a shadow of the Lord's name, he could have been delivered like Ajamila. In any case, now Gopakumar is finally returning home. 85. You showed me no mercy, and as I considered this, I grew impatient, full of anxiety to receive your favor. So I transgressed my eternal code of conduct and arranged for you to take your current birth. Dear boy, in that divine district of Govardhan, my most beloved abode, I myself became your guru, known by the name Jayanta. Commentary. The Lord does not interfere with the independence of the rebellious jivas. He mostly leaves the responsibility of reforming them to the Vedas and Vaishnavas. But ultimately, it is his mercy that saves the conditioned souls. The Supreme Lord interfered with Gopakumar's karma by making Gopakumar take birth in Govardhan. In the words of Lord Brahma, quote, anyone specifically favored by the Supreme Personality Godhead, due to unalloyed surrender unto his service, can overcome the insurmountable ocean of illusion and understand him. But those who are attached to the body which is meant to be eaten at the end by dogs and jackals cannot do so. 2742. Only when the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, grants his unconditional kindness can one take wholehearted refuge of the Lord's lotus feet and cross beyond the ocean of illusion, otherwise impossible to cross. In this verse from second canto, the verb ati taranti, they cross beyond, is followed by the word cha, or and, which implies that besides liberation, the surrendered devotees of the Lord also achieve Sri Vaikuntha, an attainment that makes liberation seem unimportant. Thus, Vaikuntha can be attained by those whose self-identification resides not in the material body, fated to be eaten by dogs and jackals, but in the company of the Supreme Lord's dedicated servants. '87. Today, you have at last fulfilled the desire I have harbored for so long. Please nourish your happiness and mine by staying here forever. Commentary. Here the Lord says in all humility, what good have I ever done for you? But you have done the greatest good for me by coming here, unquote. The Lord hopes that Gopakumar will forget the discontentment that has impelled him to wander from one place to another and will instead choose to remain in Vaikuntha. 88. Sri Gopakumar said, maddened by drinking the beverage of the Supreme Lord's words, so intoxicating, I was unable to offer him praise or to understand or do anything. Just in front of us appeared a number of flute players, dressed as cowherds like me. They very affectionately encouraged me, gained my trust, pulled me into their midst, and urged me to play my flute. In various styles, I played this very dear flute of mine, born on Govardhan Hill, and in this way I satisfied the ocean of all skillful arts, the reservoir of all mercy, Sri Madhava, along with his associates. Commentary. Gopakumar refers to, quote, this, unquote, flute because he is holding it in his hand, even while instructing his student in Boma Vrindavan. This implies that his flute, born a bamboo on Govardhan Hill, is imperishable. Because the flute came from Govardhan Gopakumar's home, it is very dear to him. His playing pleased the Supreme Lord, and as indicated by the name Sri Madhava, the husband of the goddess of fortune, when the Lord is pleased, Mother Lakshmi was also pleased. Though Lord Narayana is full of knowledge of all fine arts, including flute playing, he is also the reservoir of all mercy. So, rather than proudly refuse to be entertained just because he is God, he kindly showed satisfaction with Gopakumar's performance. It's nicely written. 91. When the time came to stop, everyone, on the request of Lakshmi Devi, started to leave, but I didn't want to go. The devotees had to persuade me to let them escort me outside. Commentary. Sri Lakshmi Devi told the devotees to leave because it was time for the Lord Narayan's lunch and for other important business. Only she remained with the Lord during his meals. Like every housewife, Lakshmi manages the household affairs, and Lakshmi displays her supreme opulences to provide the enjoyable comforts of Vaikuntha life for the pleasure of her husband. 92. Though, like everyone else in Vaikuntha, I was approached by transcendental opulences, I avoided them. I refused to show even the splendors that spontaneously appeared within me. I resided there in the same form I had always had, that of a cowherd boy. Commentary. Simply because he was living in Vaikuntha, special powers appeared within him, but he avoided exploiting them or even letting others see them. 93. In Vaikuntha, all opulences are purely spiritual, full in eternality, knowledge, and bliss, appearing whenever one desires. They willingly submit themselves to one's control. Commentary. The infinite varieties of the spiritual kingdom all share a common grounding in Satchit Ananda existence. But since the expression of opulence there depends on the desires of the individual residents, one encounters immeasurable variety. Personal powers there are purely spiritual, so the residents use them faultlessly without the selfish manipulations employed to enjoy one's senses in the material world. 94. Thus, there is opulence even in what seems like its absence. And when opulence is visible, the devotees still feel as if they possess nothing. That is the special nature of Vaikuntha. Commentary. Every Vaikuntha Vasi has access to personal control of infinite energies, whether he chooses to display them or not. Yet when devotees in Vaikuntha use their ability to manifest wonderful things, they still feel meek and humble because they are just sparks of the Supreme, from whom the Satchitananda opulences of Vaikuntha all expand. The devotees in Vaikuntha are free from the tendency to exploit other people and things for their own selfish interests. This is the nature of Vaikuntha. It is free from the constraints, or kunta, of material bondage. As already stated, in that divine realm, the all-pervasive spiritual nature coexists with the infinite variety of ways to serve the personality of Godhead. The all-pervasive spiritual nature coexists with the infinite variety of ways to serve the personality of Godhead. 95. In any case, by the strong influence of my previous practice, I continued to pay serious attention to my worship of the Supreme Lord and always happily behaved like an insignificant person. Commentary. Although Gopakumar could have felt proud to know himself equal in quality with Lord Narayan, he preferred to retain the genuine advantage of remaining humble. He was convinced that the only real happiness lay in satisfying the Lord. From the beginning of his devotional practice, he had always been unpretentious. Now, even among the devotees of Vaikuntha, he had a special destiny, and so he had to follow his nature. 96. In my heart, I then concluded that by the great mercy of the Lord, I had now surely gained the ultimate fruit to be acquired from all of my prior births and endeavors. Commentary. Having described something of what happened to him and what he had done in Vaikuntha, Gopakumar now hints at what is going on in his mind. He has been thinking that he had attained the complete perfection of his life. 97. Oh, what unimaginable happiness! What an exalted abode! What a wonderful master! And how greatly wonderful his mercy. Commentary. Gopakumar uses the word idam, or this, to express that he perceived these wonders directly. But he does little more than show his astonishment. Oh, because these glories of Vaikuntha cannot be compared with anything else. To persons who have yet to see them, very little can be said. These glories cannot even be imagined, so they surely cannot be described. 98. After some time, by the Lord's kindness, I obtained the intimate personal service of fanning him with a chamara, and I constantly felt the bliss of seeing the Lord as I played for him on my flute. Commentary. At first, Gopakumar could see Lord Narayan only in brief audiences. After this initial training, however, he was allowed regular service at the Lord's side. He earned this privilege not by his own qualifications, but by the Lord's causeless mercy, kripaya. In addition, by virtue of being a naturally expert flute player, Gopakumar had the rare privilege of entertaining Lord Narayan. '99. By the habit of my past practice, I would sometimes loudly repeat in various ways, "Oh, Krishna, Gopal." These two names of the Lord, Krishna and Gopal, were so dear to Gopakumar that he found innumerable ways to chant them. And so, as he enjoyed life in Vaikuntha, he was also being prepared to move on to his higher destination. The seed of discontent, with living in Vaikuntha was beginning to take root in his heart. Discontent living in Vaikuntha. 100. I always sang openly in excellent prayers of his activities in Gokula, which reveal his greatest glories. Commentary. Gokula is Brajabhumi, the land of Mathura. With the all-attractive performance of Sankirtan, Gopakumar described for Lord Narayan the Lord's own childhood pastimes in Gokula. 101. Residents of that place, laughing with hearts melted by affection, often came to me when I was outside the Lord's presence and spoke to me in no uncertain terms, like teachers instructing a student. The residents of Sri Vaikuntha said, "You should not address the Lord of Lords like this, and don't sing his praises that way. Just recite standard prayers about his unlimited, most amazing glories." Commentary. The Vaikuntha devotees disliked hearing Lord Narayan addressed in such familiar ways like "my dear Krishna" and "hey Gopal." In fact, they disapproved of addressing him by name at all. They felt uncomfortable hearing songs that focused on the Lord's childhood pastimes in Gokula. They wanted to hear the Lord glorified in the Vaikuntha style. 103. To annihilate the wicked and protect the civilized, to cheat Kamsa, the Lord disguised himself as a cowherd by his illusory energy. This is Vaikunthavasi's training him. Commentary. As far as these Vaikuntavasis are concerned, the Lord only pretends to be a coward boy in order to deceive the evil Kamsa of Mathura. Krishna had to cheat Kamsa to get rid of the wicked demons like Putana and protect decent persons like Sri Vasudeva. But Gopakumar's advisors honestly believe that the Supreme Lord of all lords is never actually such a degraded creature as a cowherd. Degraded creature. 104. Quote, devotees of the Lord have little regard for tales of his illusory affairs. Such narrations may be suitable in the beginning of devotional practice, but they do not factually glorify the Lord. Ooh, sounds a little offensive. Commentary. Maya means illusion or magic or deception. The Lord may sometimes play tricks by pretending to assume forms that are not actually his eternal forms, Swarup. For example, Lord Vishnu showed himself disguised as Mohini, the most attractive woman. But in fact, the personality guided is always a male, never a female. His real feminine counterpart has her own identity. Well-informed Vaishnavas, therefore, do not take the Lord's illusory shows very seriously. A person dissatisfied with this argument might counter that the description of the Lord's, quote, illusory activities are indeed heard and appreciated by knowledgeable Vaishnavas. He might even quote a statement by the first spiritual master of all Vaishnavas, in the material world, Lord Brahma. Bhagavatam 2:753, quote, the Supreme Lord's, quote, illusory activities in association with his different energies should be described, appreciated, and heard in accordance with the Lord's teachings. If this is done regularly with devotion and respect, one is sure to get out of the Lord's illusory energy. Nice verse. 2:753. In reply to this objection, the Vaikuntavasis argue that accounts of the Lord's illusory activities are suitable only for beginners in devotional practice. Such narrations about the Lord's Maya, including his pastimes in Gokul on earth, are not fit for glorifying the Almighty Lord of Vaikuntha. 105. But some of those residents of Vaikuntha said, quote, among the Lord's inconceivable activities, those playful pastimes are also his. So there is no fault in chanting about them. Commentary. One group of Vaikuntavasis maintained that the Lord's pastimes to the cowherd are his eternal leelas, rather than temporary shows of Maya like the creation of the material world. The other group might have questioned what pleasure there could be in, quote, pastimes where the Lord has to run in fear from his mother, cry for her breast milk, labor at tending cows, and wander in the forests that are strewn with thorns. The answer is simply that the Lord's activities are dur-bodha, beyond logical analysis. It's not a word that's in the verse, it's in the commentary, dur-bodha. Then a few extremely exalted devotees stopped all the others and angrily said, really, why are you talking like this as if you had no intelligence? Krishna is so kind to his devotees that Sankirtan of any of his activities is glorious and beneficial and satisfying to our dear master. Commentary. Now the Vaikuntavasis who best understand the Supreme Lord's glories are speaking. As the Lord's pastimes are transcendental, and to glorify any of them is auspicious because the Lord enacts them for the benefit of the devotees, as he has said in his own words from Padma Purana. Quote, although I can annihilate all the Danavas within a few seconds, I perform various pastimes just to entertain my devotees, just as the fish, tortoise, and bird nourish their offspring by respectively watching them, meditating on them, and keeping them in physical contact. So do I maintain my devotees. O lotus-eyed, O lotus-born Brahma. None of the Supreme Lord's activities, therefore, are creations of Maya, material illusion, nor are they purposeless like the games of children. Different devotees, however, understand the Lord's pastimes in different ways. Among the residents of Vaikuntha, now speaking with Gopakumar, we can discern three different groups with three different mentalities. The first group consider the informal pastimes of Braja incomparable with the mood of Vaikuntha. The second are more liberal, and the third ardently refuse to discriminate against any of the Lord's pastimes. Paragraph. The devotees in Vaikuntha have these different attitudes for two reasons. First, bhakti takes on different qualities in accordance with one, this is my notes, the various disciples performed, the various disciplines performed to achieve it. I'll read it again. Bhakti takes on different qualities in accordance with the various disciplines performed to achieve it, such as the cultivation of knowledge. Second, the personality of Godhead, for his various pastimes, requires different moods in his devotees. In any case, none of the Vaikuntha devotees have said anything wrong. Without a doubt, pure devotional service in any form can earn one the highest benefit, even entrance into Sri Vaikuntha Dham. This has already been logically established, as it will be further discussed in later chapters. There's not too many later chapters. We're moving along. One more verse, 108. Sri Gopakumar said, "At first, the words of the Vaikuntha-vasis had me feel embarrassed. Then I felt satisfied, although in truth, the inner core of my heart was not fully appeased." Got this restlessness. Commentary. The opinion of the first group of devotees embarrassed Gopakumar. That of the last group made him feel much more satisfied. To hear the Vaikuntha-vasis disagree over the importance of glorifying the Lord's pastimes in Gokula had pained him like a thorn in his heart. He had even heard some of them belittle Krishna's Brajalila. But he had not heard a single word describing the pastimes he cherished most. Later, his mind will be pacified when he hears philosophical conclusions from Sri Narada that vibrate the sympathetic strings of his heart. Wow. He's got teachings and teachers all along the way to help him